Good evening. The time is now 7 p.m. I'd like to call this Board of Selectmen meeting to order for June 27th at 7, and please ask that you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And roll call.
Art Gagnon.
Kevin Cunningham, and I did get a message from Scott. He would not be able to attend tonight. All right, item C, approve the minutes from the Special Board of Selectmen meeting on 6/1/22.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 6/1/22.
And I will second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Item D is public comment. At this time, if there's any public that wishes to speak, this is the time. Okay. Hearing none, we go into old business, of which we have none right now. Item F1, discuss and act on the bottle bill revenue. In your packet, you'll see that there is some information from the state of Connecticut concerning the bottle bill. We were contacted from CCM saying that most of the municipalities are coming together with a plan, so I wanted to at least make you aware of what the bill is. We have an additional $21,222 in that account as of now. So they're going to be periodically sending us monies from the sale of the nip bottles. And each municipality obviously gets, there's a tracking of that method for sale within your municipality. They then tally that up and send some money to each of the towns and cities. So we have to really kind of come up with a plan of what we're going to use the monies for. There's very specific items which you can use it for. There was one town, I think it was either Vernon or out in that direction, that was doing it for something I'd like to discuss, and that would be for putting the money into an account until we are able to accumulate enough money for a new street sweeper. And one of the things that they were doing out in that town was they were using it for direct relationship to keeping the streets clean of these nip bottles as well as other things. But it then would save on their larger payment to a street sweeper. There was another suggestion that came in for purchase or building of trash receptacles, of which you have to think this whole process all the way through. The trash receptacles are great, but that means you have to hire someone to go out there and then collect them on a regular basis and clean them and re-put the bags back in. So this is something that we can at least earmark for now. Could come back and make some modifications later, but it is something that we just have to think about what we want to do with it. So
The only thing I have to say about it is that as far as storm drains, if you do something about that, because that's where probably a lot of these nip bottles go, into the storm drains.
And we do have the machines that clean that out right now. So it's the same that we always go through the street sweepers because of their continued use.
Okay.
So they're always being repaired and replaced.
Do we know how do we have?
We can get that information. Yeah. But we've constantly going through making maintenance on them.
I think with the storm drains, we have bottles that flow, so they continue down probably and collect wherever. I don't know where they collect, but you know.
We might have somebody here that might know.
If they're collected right there in the storm drain, it might be.
I know sometimes I've seen videos where they have some sort of net that actually catches, lets the water flow, it actually catches the litter, and then it just changes the netting out.
And that's probably something that's not as cost prohibitive anyway. I went through McDonald's parking lot today. I don't know if you've been by there. It's just, it's a pond, really. I don't know if something happened to the storm drains. Something got clogged there, but I can picture this, with debris like that.
I think that was that's an issue that zoning was talking about, having to rework some of the stuff that was done over at McDonald's. So there's an issue that has been there for years, and I'm working with them to see if they can fix it.
I've seen it like that.
Oh yeah, I've seen it like that. It's ponded before, to the point where you can't park over there at all. Yeah.
Now, what's the street sweeper cost? Roughly two?
Two, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd be for collecting for it, but in the process, you know, in
We
the
can
meantime,
looking at
towards
other
the
things.
storm
Exactly.
collectors.
That doesn't prohibit us from going after grants to see if we can also get money for a street sweeper or other items. But in the meantime, at least we've allocated where we'd like to start putting the money towards, and then we'll continue the conversation later.
Yeah, I'm correct in assuming, right, this started in October. The first payment came in April, supposed to be.
Yeah, we only received one payment from the city.
Yeah.
So far.
So it might be like that every 6 months, 20,000 or so.
Yeah.
So I'd entertain the motion to, for the monies received from the bottle bill to be placed into an account to be used towards the purchase of a new street sweeper in the future.
I'll make that motion.
I would second. Any other discussion? Other than we know we can readdress it later. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now the next one up is item 2, and that has discuss and act on appropriation of fund balance to demolish the annex. We've gone through this whole process. We've had information coming back from a reputable source as to what condition the annex is in. CLA engineers came back and it was actually in worse shape than they thought before they went in. Yeah, so the responsibility of a town is also to make it so that we have a safe area, and that it's starting to actually come in upon itself. Eventually it would do that. So we've been told by the fire marshal and also by the building inspector that it is unsafe. So to go to that next step, we talk about taking it down to demolition. The next would be to, step by step, is the Board of Selectmen would vote to allocate up to a certain amount of money for demolition, remediation and demolition. We bring it to the Board of Finance. They would discuss it there as well. And if they were to approve it, it would go to a town meeting. The town meeting would have to adjourn to go to a referendum because of the cost. But that is the process by which we'd have to do this. It doesn't mean we have to do it right away. What it does mean is that we would have all those things in place. The issue of, can we go out there right now? It's very possible because the Board of Finance thought there would be some more monies coming for other things being allocated and requested for unentered transfers. We haven't had to do that at all. So while we have a 12.5% percentage, I think it is brought to that, of reserve fund, you taking out, and I would use a number, round number right now, about $500,000, because what you'd have to do is remediate out the 2 parcels, the lights and also the windows because of the asbestos, and the lights because of PCBs. We already had, if you saw it back at the first page, was the initial proposal. So the ballast and lights and also the disposal of the asbestos from the windows would be one cost. They thought that they would be looking at about $415,000 for the actual demolition, but if we put it out to bid, we may come up with something less than that. So what I would be looking for is to bring it to the Board of Finance with motion to approve for demolition and remediation cost of no more than $500,000. That gives you at least your ceiling as to what you're looking for. If bids come in higher than that, the town has the right to, and it reserves the right to reject the bids. So we can go back at that at a later time. The other thing about the dates and how we look at that sequentially is we are just starting to receive monies coming in at this point from Amazon. Their building has a CO, so the building is getting taxed. When they come in to actually do operations, could be, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months, or when at this point. But at this point, we are starting to get some money revenue coming in. So, as suggested, if we hold off a little bit, we can see the revenues coming in, so it's not going to be impacting that, hopefully, the 12.5% for reserve. So that's what I'd like to look at, and as long as we start with the steps, we can go there. As long as everybody knows it too. I mean, if I go to the Board of Finance and say, look, we're looking for 500, but we don't have to have it immediately right now, but we have to have that process started. We'll get the word from the public and see what they say. So that is the intention at this point, to have a motion to take up to $500,000 out of the fund balance to pay for the remediation and demolition costs for the annex.
So the only question I would have is about the money, because we agreed have an uncertain future coming. So, are we really sure that we could do this?
That's why we're looking to actually, if you follow the process of the dates and everything, I would look to be able to come to an actual putting it out to bid sometime in October. Because by then you're starting to see some revenue lines coming in from different sources. And you can make an adjustment at that point. If it doesn't look good, you don't have to do it immediately. But at least you have the approval from the public as to take it down. Again, it is a safety issue that we do need to address. So.
So I'll make a motion, move this item forward to the Board of Finance to appropriate up to $500,000 for the removal of the annex building demolition
And hazardous material.
and hazardous material.
Motion's been made. I will second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 3 is the 2022 charter revision questions. After a few months of hard work, we are now at the point where we have a suggestion from the Charter Revision Commission for the questions that they have proposed. For those who are interested, there was a change in 2.5b requested. Now 2.5b, for those interested, is still in there from 1984. The 1984 number says if you were to go to, like we just talked about for the last issue, if you were to go and request monies from the general fund between $10,000 and $50,000, you have to go to a town meeting. Anything above $50,000 requires you to go to town meeting and then a referendum. And that's a lot. We've done a lot in the last couple of years of going to referendum over different items. So that's costly every time you do it. To change and adjust those numbers, they're looking at, and I'll read the actual Section 2.5b as presented by the Charter Revision Commission. Shall the dollar amount of non-budgeted appropriations be updated from $10,000 to $50,000 as a minimum, and from $50,000 to $200,000 maximum before the town meeting is needed? I think that's an appropriate adjustment because if we're looking at the inflation numbers, that's roughly what we're looking at. Item 2.5d is related to, if you take a look in your charter book, 2.5d actually discusses if you were to go out for a grant, very similar, but if you're going to go out for a grant and you're to expend monies coming from the general fund. Initially, it's listed as initial application of the town for state or federal grants involving a local financial share estimated to be more than $10,000 in any fiscal year. And again, those numbers adjusted with inflation. The vote was to modify that increase it from 10,000 to 50,000. And there are a lot of different grants, smaller grants that you would go for that would fall under that, so you don't have to keep on coming to a town meeting just to approve the allocation for it. So we would definitely like to, get that information out to the public about different types of grants that have been going on. And I'm going to talk to our grant writer just so we can show all the different ones that are there and we can put it up on the town website and Facebook page.
That's any grant besides this matching grant?
Yep, it's if we have to have money coming from the town general fund in order to help supplement it. So that's that one. And the next two are 4.1e, shall the office of the town clerk be changed from an elected to an appointed position? And 4.1f, shall the office of tax collector be changed from an elected to an appointed position? Just for one point of clarification, hypothetical, let's say that those two pass. Those two positions still have to stay in their position until the end of their term because they were elected to those positions. That's how that would work. Normally, that's how it would work like that. So there's a few wording modifications that have been made for explaining to the public, but those questions are fine as they are, as they stand. I am working.
Okay, so if this passes in November, they would still be elected for 2 more years. Okay.
Yep. They're halfway through. Get the actual
Were
date.
they elected last year?
No, we had an appointment last year.
No? We ran town clerk, we ran tax collector last year. So you
Yeah,
they still have 3 more years
3 more.
as elected.
I got the exact dates, I'll find out. There was one more, and I'm working on the actual wording for it, and that is to, if you take a look at your chart, if you have one, section 3.4.
I don't have to, I think.
All right.
So,
3.4. It's very intricate wording too. But under section 3.4, it's very generic here where it talks about the voting districts and polling places within the town may be established, consolidated, divided, and/or redivided in the manner provided to the general statutes. The registrar of voters had wanted to modify to be very specific and very clear that because the state of Connecticut came up with the change of the voting districts, 44th, 45th, but they were, now it's 47, 44, that they wanted to follow the same lines. So there's verbiage that can actually get us to that pathway, and we can talk about that. We have a public, you'll see it later on here,
yeah.
but we can talk about it at that meeting, and I've already asked the attorney about all 5 of these,
Yeah.
so that he's okay with it so far. Just has to be very carefully worded out. You're going to take, like in Plainfield, you have 2 voting districts.
No, 4.
Plainfield,
Oh,
the
Plainfield.
village.
Oh, yeah, we got 5, that's right.
Yeah, because he has 5. So there's a way to make it so it's very clear to the public as to where they're going to vote. But the registrar of voters would like to make it just 2 places, Moosup, Plainfield. So I'm working on that one for our next public hearing, sorry. But with the 4 that were presented, as far as I'm concerned, to accept those 4 suggested changes for the town charter as presented by the Charter Revision Commission. Just make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the 4 charter revision changes.
And I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Set public hearing for the charter revision from the Board of Selectmen as required by the state statutes. There is a process we go through where the Board of Selectmen then sets their own meeting to share with the public what was given to us by the Charter Revision Commission and any other items we may have along the way. Just to be fair about it, if we don't want to make the change for the 5th question, we don't have to. But if we do, then it makes it one more step for the Charter Revision Commission because they'd have to come back and say, yeah, we like that idea, or no, we don't. And then they would vote on it and make final numbers back to us, or final points back to us, and that's it. And it goes from there out to publish. Once we publish, we're ready to go. So what I'm looking for is,
Okay, so let me ask you a question about that.
yep,
In between there and the 18th,
yes.
right? Just keep that in mind that
Hmm?
within that week they'd have to have a meeting.
Okay, you can even have one that right after us on the 11th. I mean, all these questions are straightforward, except the one that I'm looking to propose.
And that's what they'll have to discuss.
Right.
So,
And I'll give them a heads up on what the language would be, so that they have plenty of time then to go to that meeting and have it as an item. And again, they don't have to accept it either. It could be just saying, you know what, we'll wait till the next go-around for charter revision.
you want to keep it at 6:30?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to set public hearing for the charter revisions for July 11th, 2022 at 6:30.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, item number 5. We had put out a RFP asking for input for a CDBG consultant that is part of your community development block grant for small cities and housing rehab programs. We have occasional residents who are looking to do upgrades on their properties, whether it's roof or furnace or things like that to upgrade. And they utilize these monies. They have to go through a process of application, and There's a couple companies that do it, so we're looking to upgrade and see if we can do something different, or if there's anybody else that might have a better idea. And so we had two people who actually put two groups that came up back to the town of Plainfield, A&E Services and Construction Advocacy Professionals. I had Mary Ann give us a highlight of each one. Mary Ann and I sat down and reviewed both of them and independently came up with who we thought would be the better group to come forward with this. So it continues on in my mind as A&E. They do the best between the two. The other one is mostly from Rhode Island, so they don't know as much about Connecticut as...
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I did get the information
Oh,
from
good.
Mary Ann.
Good.
So, the only question I have is the money, of course. The money, how do they get paid?
Through
Out of the block grant?
Out of the block grant, yep.
What we provided?
No, it's out of the block grant.
Yeah, okay. And do we have an amount? What's- I assume it's right per case. They're not
Yeah,
going to do
there's
it.
a-
Per project, there's a
Right.
percentage per project,
Yeah.
and it's a percentage that they receive.
Each tab is a little different. And Mary Ann would have known that right at the top of her head, but she's not here today, so.
I can give you the percentage.
If you don't have it, you can get it to me later.
Yes.
That's a curiosity.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
going to
the out of
stop.
the block grant, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
That's first come, first served, and applications have to be vetted out.
You can let me know later, Joe.
Yep, okay.
It's fine. So, I'll make a motion to appoint A&E as the town's CDBG consultant.
I'll second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And discuss and act on pool heating project. That should be an item or tab on number 6. You'll see the one and only bid that we received. And so we're just getting the final, just yea or nay on this, so even though it's the only one, we're trying to get it done as soon as possible. We're going to be, what they would be doing is taking out the old boiler system, putting in the new, also with the, it would tie into the showers, men and women showers to get the heat there. There's also an overhead blower for heat as well, because usually what happens is they get out of the pool, they're cold, they go into a cold locker. So that was one of the suggestions, can we do that? So we came back with, we thought initially, we talked about this for a long time, pool about 40,000. This came back a little lower, and so it helps out. The bid coming in was $36,850.
Is this oil? Do we stick with oil?
Well, we have
Oil or?
gas boiler.
What, oh, it's gas?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's what it stays with.
And they're trying to do this to multiple things at one time because they're doing the draining of the pool and cleaning it at the same time. That'll save a lot of, like multiple closures.
So I make a motion to approve the bid to Wellenta Enterprises
Yes.
for $36,850 for the pool heating project.
And I will second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we come to other, there is some minor things. We had some resignations from boards, some commission members decided to resign. So we're looking for 1, 2, 3 people who are, conservation. Here's the page. Yep, 3 people to come in for Conservation Commission. Because they resigned and it was stamped and accepted by the clerk, we don't have to make any motions on these. We're also looking for 2 people for the Open Space Committee. So what we'll be doing is over the next day or so, I'm going to put it up on the town website. And I'm waiting for another resignation to come in for one of the board. Once he does that, then I can post that as well.
Seeing you mentioned this,
Yep.
Ethics Commission.
Still looking.
We still have one open. Did you reach out to Mr. Sugarman? Because he had sent a letter.
Yeah, and I haven't heard
last
anything
time.
back yet. Yep. There's actually 2 or 3 people like that they say they're interested, and when you reply back, you don't usually hear
I
something.
think I'm busy with something.
Yes, which is understood. So we will hopefully fill those positions very soon. Anything else other than the fact that people should know all the events that are happening over the next few weeks? In July, all of the concerts in the park start up from July 6th all the way to August 24th. You have for the Vietnam's Veterans Ceremony that was changed from June until July 12th. July 14th is Plainfield Bike Night. Celebrate Plainfield Day is August 6th from 10 to 2. You have fireworks that evening at 9 o'clock over at the Shepherd Hill Sports Field. You have from the 14th, starting at 101, the 54th Annual VJ Parade. And those are the current events listed now. Anything else for other? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I will second. All in favor say aye.
All right.
Time is 7:27. And we'll go right into
The regular meeting would have been the 23rd of May, and this says the 25th
go back on the calendar.
of May. So I apologize, I didn't get the meeting minutes from last one, so I didn't have those with me. Good, I do
23rd.
notice. It's supposed to be the 23rd?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 1st, 2022, with the correction of the date from the approval of the meeting minutes.
All right, and I will second that. All in favor say aye.
All right.
New business, first one up, review miscellaneous wastewater treatment facility upgrades. I think these are very small items, but very thoughtful because usually we see the big numbers. We see all the things that are making change to. But Stephanie's put together a list for us of all the little things that need to be fixed, and it's important for people to understand that it's not just you're going to need a new centrifuge, you're going to need something large. But you'll see all the different items here and the prices that were associated to them. We don't have to make any motion. This is coming from their own current budget, so they should be okay. Nothing else is broken today, right? Nothing else broke today?
Not today.
Okay.
These are a lot of things that the building committee had found, or,
Which I don't know which list you're looking at.
because I noticed there's a lot of
Does it say work item 1, work item 2?
electrical
Yes.
and stuff.
Okay, so that's just a company that had come to look at some electrical issues that have been ongoing in North Plant for years and years and years. They're just looking at pricing to see what it would cost to get some of them fixed. So I'm moving forward with all the items that are less than 2,000 right now. And I'm going to hold on everything that's above 2,000 so I can get more pricing.
I just remembered the list that we got from the building committee that we had
I'm
checked
sure,
everything out.
I'm sure they're related
Electrical.
items.
Some of these are related to those items,
Yeah.
but there's still more on that list that aren't covered by this list.
It's good that they're all checked, and it's good that we have enough money to be able to fix those items.
This is extra money from the budget.
So these places, there's money right now extra in some line items from equipment replacement and repairs and maintenance that if I get it done before the end of this budget cycle, there's money in the budget to get things done.
Would a lot of that come from equipment replacement in that line, or you have other places that would come from this?
I think most of this, since it's repairs and maintenance, I think that's the line item I'm going to take out of.
Okay. All right. That is the smaller of the items. The larger one comes next with WPCA number 2, line item transfers, and that has been presented to you with an updated version today. So we have some money in savings from salaries. We had an employee who wasn't there most of the year. So that's why you have an offset there, which is going to allow you to do line item transfers into each of those other areas.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So just entertain a motion to approve the line item transfers as presented.
Make a motion to approve the line item transfers in the amount of $47,614.
I will second that. All in favor say aye.
All right.
All right. Discuss and act on secondary clarifier proposal. So Fuss and O'Neill came through at the last minute with their updated version of what they want to do for their clarifier. So this is refurbishing the secondary clarifier at the North Plant Station. They get into real detail as to what the scope is and what they'd like to do for design and bidding. And they price out each of the items for cost for fee summaries.
So I'd like to discuss this so you guys can postpone acting on it today. I'm still waiting to talk to the grant writer and see if we can find more grant money from the Community Investment Fund to actually fund getting the new tank as well. That meeting was supposed to be this morning. Got postponed.
He will be in tomorrow, and we do have a planned meeting for 10 a.m. if you'd like to show up for that, because I think everybody's looking for that particular grant. We have to prioritize what we're going to use it for. So I think that would be, if you could,
Yeah.
10 a.m. So going forward with this would be pending whatever we get from grant writer?
Yeah, so we didn't have the funds to be able to do this. When I was talking to Jordan, he said that if he applied for the grant, he said it would be a very strong application if we put everything in that we were hoping to put in. And he sounded very promising that it would be accepted if we get the funds. Of course, we have to apply for it and wait to hear back. So that money is not guaranteed at the moment.
Right.
But this money that we have from the ARPA funds is. So still worst case scenario, we're still going to get these two tanks refurbished. So I'd just like to wait until that grant meeting with Fuss and O'Neill and the grant writer, just to confirm we're all on the same page.
Mhm.
We're all on the same page with moving forward, that this is the best decision we can make for getting a new tank. Will be the best decision.
How much for refurbishing total?
Refurbishing total, including this 56,200, going to be. So total refurbishment, they estimated 820,000. Just for refurbishing the two tanks.
Right. But their portion of it was design, detailed designs, and then bidding services.
Yeah, so that's the 56,200, but they said that's included in the 820,000
Okay.
pricing they already initially gave us to get the tanks done.
Depending upon which grant we go for and get, it could be better news. But at least we have the monies allocated.
Yeah, so it's going to be 1,990,000 they estimated if you wanted to.
They're listening and watching these videos because these things are very much needed for the sewer department. They have been, it's unfortunate that they've been piecemealed for a long time, didn't get everything done and upgraded, but they need to be done. And there's a huge cost to them, so we're doing the best we can. We're trying to figure out how to do it properly. Again, whether it's refurbished, whether it's brand new. When you listened just for a little over $800,000 for refurbished to 1.9
Yeah.
for brand new. there's other things that need to be done. There's a laundry list of things that need to be done, so.
Am I understanding though, even if you get the two refurbished, you can still use the primer? I mean,
Yeah, so even if I get them refurbished, they're still undersized, so we still use the new tank.
Right, that's what I thought,
Like, so
okay.
the original ARPA funds we got, I didn't want to put all the money in one project when there's so much other that equipment that's in the same condition that they are. So refurbishing, since the concrete seems to be in good condition based on Fuss and O'Neill's engineer can't take a look at it, but why waste two, good cement tanks when we can just, gut it, and shoot the tank, and get it refurbished instead of getting a new one. But if the grant works out, I think we should be able to get both done.
There is a push for infrastructure, obviously, we've seen it in the last year or so. So it's helping. It does definitely help. So I mean, we could make the motion to approve the project utilizing the funds that we have in front of us. And then if we absolutely get other opportunities, we could do that as well. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow about that part of it.
If we approve this now, we're approving it to be taken out of the ARPA money, correct?
That's where it's earmarked from, yes.
Can you backpedal that afterwards if we decide we didn't need this?
Well, I would say yes, you could, but you also have so many other projects that are very expensive that you're not going to lose either way. I mean, let's talk about pump stations. You have how many pump stations you'd like to fix up? You've got different businesses that could be coming into town, and you've got to do a brand new, like over the dog track. You're going to have to refurbish that entire station.
Yeah.
Same thing on the bottom of 14A. You've got generators that we talked about, which were aging out. So there's a lot of money in all
I'm
those.
just asking because it's coming out of the ARPA money.
Yep.
If it was coming out of your budget and you could do line item transfers here or there, that's one thing, but if it's coming out of the ARPA money, that it's dedicated for that.
Mhm.
So, can you pull that and use it for something else?
I would leave it in using the ARPA money for what it is needing right now, and then if we got the grant money, use that grant money for another project.
If you can
We
do
kind of use
that.
ARPA money as a leg, as collateral when we're applying for the grant money. Say, oh, you already have ARPA money you're using for this funds. So that'll give us the extra funds using the ARPA, considering we already are spending some of the ARPA money on additional projects for sewer. And that should strengthen the grant as well as,
Is that what Jordan
yeah.
said? Yeah.
Because the federal and state look at us and say, well, you are doing projects and you are going forward and trying to update your infrastructure. So that's why he was saying that it does strengthen the other grants, because now you're tagging along to that.
I'm just thinking of the public, because you say it's going to one thing and, they don't know
Right.
what it goes to.
And this definitely is something we can put it directly to and just leave it there.
Because actually this 56 goes specifically
Right. Engineering.
for the design bid.
Yep.
So,
Right.
which actually you're going to have to do anyway, no matter what. 'Cause you got to keep the two tanks.
Yeah, either way. They'll probably give me a new scope if we get the new tank. And say that we're now going to design the tank and, more in-depth set of specs out. So they'll probably send us a new proposal after they will plan on installing the new tank.
Because we have to have the space for it. We have to be able to make sure it's going to be able to work in cooperation with the other two. And how do you,
Yes. Yeah, because you had an issue with the solar panels, right?
yeah, we
So,
Yeah.
push them out of the way?
We still have to figure out if we can push them back. And make room for the new tank.
What's your pleasure?
Well, I'll make a motion to appropriate the $56,200 from the ARPA funds for the secondary clarifier proposal from Fuss and O'Neill.
I will second that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And there's nothing else on the agenda, so entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the time is 7:41. Okay, thank you.